earlier today, Sam, there was murder committed in the swamp. Miami 41, Florida 17, and I'm gonna just keep it 100. Yes, I am a Miami fan, and I did have the Hurricanes winning this game, but I never would have thought this would have just been an absolute slaughter fest. Like from the opening kickoff to the final whistle being blown, Miami looked like the way more superior, more talented team. It was a coaching mismatch. And what was so funny to me, Sam, was how one of the biggest storylines heading into this matchup was, can Mario Cristobal be trusted going on the road to the swamp? You know, the swamp is such a tough place to win at. But, you know, people forgot that Mario Cristobal at Oregon went on the road and beat Ohio State and Columbus. This is somebody who's no stranger to these kinds of big games. And I never once trusted Billy Napier in this game. And all of the biggest criticisms of Billy Napier presented themselves in this game. I mean, once again, the play calling was super conservative. Wasn't a lot of throws past 20 yards downfield. The quarterback comparison, Cam Ward versus Graham Mertz looked like a McDonald's worker versus an NFL quarterback, in my opinion. I mean, without a doubt, Cam Ward is going to be playing on Sundays. This dude is a superstar. He is what's going to be the key factor to the revival and the resurgence of Miami football. I mean, Florida couldn't get anything on third down. I mean, they were 0
No,
8,
they couldn't.
0 9. Like, Sam.
Mertz looked. Mertz, I'm not even kidding. He looked like 2021 Wisconsin, except Florida's defense is nowhere near that Wisconsin defense, which, by the way, for some of you who may criticize the Big Ten, that Wisconsin defense was like up there with Georgia's in efficiency. Their offense was just terrible because of Graham Mertz. He looked that way. Florida's defense was garbage. And combine that with the fact that Cam Ward has athleticism and he has intelligent decision making and he has a good OC and wide receivers, you're not winning. And this is for the nth time in a row where a Billy Napier team has come out and just, instead of punching above its weight class, they let teams below their weight class bully them. I mean, Florida has the 12th most talented roster in all of college football per recruiting rankings, and they have lost to Florida State year over year. They got blown out by Miami. They have lost to teams like Arkansas at home, which I hate to break it to you, but no good coach loses to last year's Arkansas
At home. In the swamp.
Yeah, doesn't happen. And the swamp is a very tough place to play, but Michigan Stadium is. And when Rich Rod and Brady Hoke were coaching there, it didn't matter. They'd lost. Ohio Stadium's a tough place to play. And when Ohio State was bad in 2011, they lost at home to like a mediocre Penn State team and nearly lost. Like, home field advantage only gets you so far. The team is what matters. And Florida doesn't have a team. They don't even have a competent head coach. They have, Billy Napier's from the same cookie jar as Scott Frost is. Great in the group of five, but they're nowhere near ready for the Power Four. And outside of Samford, every game on Florida's schedule is losable. I mean, they're not. I don't think they're beating A&M. I don't think they're beating anyone after the Tennessee game. And UCF could boat race them.
And if
because
they lose
they'll
to
run the
UCF,
ball.
My bad for cutting you off, but they lose to
No, you're good.
UCF, you have to fire Billy Napier. You're 0-2 against the biggest schools in your own state. That's detrimental to recruiting and the perception of Florida football.
Yeah. And you know what's really toxic? Florida State would blow that team out. And they're not. And we don't even know if they're good. They would destroy them.
And what was more funny to watch on Florida side of this game was that the coaching staff still had the same problems that they were dealing with last year. Not just with the conservative play calling, but the defense had several blown coverages. You had missed tackles, like guys were out of position. And Miami, there was one play where the receiver literally tore a guy's ACL. Transfer safety Azure Turner that came from Washington. I mean, he tried to tackle one dude and his leg damn near looked like it snapped off his bone, man. Like, everything that could have went right for Miami went right and then some. Like, I knew Cam Ward was going to be good, but I didn't think we were going to get prime time. After watching Cam Ward's performance against Florida, how do you feel about Cam Ward as far as his chances of being able to win the Heisman Trophy and how far he can take this Miami team? Could they be a natty contender possibly?
I need to think more about the latter question because this does look to be a very weak year. I thought that entering this year, I think week one confirmed that a little bit. I mean, think about it this way. Teams that I had in my top 10 entering, and I know this is a little bit off topic, but I'll answer your question. Teams that I had my top 10 entering this week were Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Texas, Missouri, Oregon, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. Georgia looked a little sluggish today. Alabama, Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas didn't play anyone of significance. So Oregon didn't either, and they struggled. Michigan played someone of a teeny bit of significance and struggled. Penn State, Ohio State played no one of significance, and they were pretty slow for a half, 3/4 of ball, a defensive touchdown. A few of them got them going. Really, like Georgia, Penn State held the most impressive win. Notre Dame, too, those three. And they didn't look perfect. So can Miami be a natty contender? I mean, I'd like to say no right now, but that isn't reality. I mean, I'll be forced to say I have to wait and see, because if it's October, November, and they're undefeated and they're killing everyone like how they're killing Florida, that is different than them having a loss to end the regular season and a few close wins. I mean, I've said in ring this year, it's Georgia's year to lose. They are the nation's best team. And if Miami can just be elite in the trenches with what they have at quarterback and wide receiver, then they probably can be a natty contender. And to answer your question about Cam Ward and the Heisman, if Miami wins the ACC and he continues to put up the numbers that he has historically put up, that he put up today, and he replicates those, maybe with less turnovers than he had at Washington State, then he'll probably win the award, because the schedule's easy, so he can stat pad. It's a Power 4 conference, so it's not like he's Caden Salter at Liberty and no one cares. And even though the schedule's easy, a win in the swamp that's that dominant will be remembered by all the analysts because it's the SEC, even though Florida might be the worst team in the SEC. And finally, Florida State, maybe Georgia Tech, and definitely whoever appears in the ACC championship game, I would think are going to be ranked opponents. So he absolutely can. I mean, right now I'd have him as the favorite. I don't care that Jackson Dart had 500 yards against Furman. I mean, Michigan State in 2016 looked halfway decent against Furman, and they went 3-9. And Ole Miss beat Mercer by 70 last year and did nothing in big games. So what I want to stress in the stream for anyone watching is after week one, don't overreact, because there is a world where Notre Dame looks this good and then USC beats them to close out the year. There's a world where Texas enters Ann Arbor and Michigan continues to run the ball like they did in the fourth quarter against Fresno State, and they game control Texas to death. There is a world where Oregon wins the Big Ten despite only beating an FCS team by 10 points. I mean, don't overreact. Don't do it. And it's the same. Pause. There's an exception to that, which I'd say is Miami, Florida, because that's like it's a close game, similar talent. There's it. I mean, no team was looking ahead to anything. That was both of their Super Bowls for the month of September.
Absolutely.
Both of them. And Florida blew it. I mean, Napier is as good as gone unless they pull out some miracle. It's only a matter of time.